Hi all, welcome to Tech Forum. In this video, let us deep dive into AEM core components. In AEM, we use either custom or out-of-the-box components to build the websites. These components are called as WCM components, means Web Content Management components. We have two categories of WCM components in AEM. One is foundation components. Foundation components again in turn have two categories. One is JSP based components, set of components. Another one is HTML based components. The JSP based component is again old. The HTML is the recent components. So these foundation components are not built based on or following the standards, and also it's not a production ready components. Most of the foundation components are deprecated with 6.5 version. Then another one is the core components. That is the recent one. So the components are built based on the standard and it follow lot of best practices. So the components resides under the apps core WCM components, but the foundation components were residing under LIPS foundation slash components and LIPS WCM foundation slash components. The core components were introduced in AEM 6.2 but are strongly recommended to use from 6.3 to provide robust and extensible base components and built on the latest technology and best practices and adhering to accessibility guidelines and are compliant with the WCAG 2.0 AA standards, means the accessibility standards and guidelines. So this will help the persons with the disability to access the website without any issues. Then the core components make page authoring more flexible and customizable, and extending them to offer custom functionality is very simple to the developer. So because it's following all the standards and best practices and guidelines, so it is easy to even author the component, and also like developers can extend the component whenever required easily. Now some core features, like let's walk through that. So one is like the component is configurable. Then like here like templates in 6.3 and the latest versions, there is a editable template. So we can define the policy. So policy will say like how this component can be used by authors. So this is pre-configurable. Then the component is more versatile, means most like you can use the component more, like, less number of components to achieve most of your authoring requirements. So because like it will provide multiple functionalities. Then easy to use. Then it's again like it will have multiple authoring capability and touchway based components. So it can be easily used. Then another one is yes, production ready. So it's already out of the box component can be used, robust and well tested and platform well. But if you take that foundation components in other hand, so it was not production ready. Then already we discussed the accessible. So it's comply with the accessibility standards, and also the all the required area labels to support the keyboard navigations for to make the website usable by the disabled persons. Then easy to style, because it will use the style system with the BUM CSS naming, so naming convention or the like definition of the CSS elements. Now SEO friendly, the HTML output is semantic and provide also it will provide some schema org microdata annotations. So this will help you to like Google to you to improve the Google search result page through this annotations. Then the next one is yes, it's SPA app ready and PWO, means like it can be streamlined to a JSON output that can be used by all this client side rendering technologies. Then extensible, so you can extend completely or only the specific elements within the components. Then open source, yeah, the component is open source through the GitHub. So even we can contribute to the repository. Yeah, next major difference is versioned. The components are versioned. So means like you can have multiple version of the same component. So it won't break the existing websites functionalities. So you can maintain multiple functionality with the same component. So whoever interested, they can use it. Whatever the website is easy to manage the multi-tenancy of the AEM platform. Next one is the localized. This will provide some capability to render the localized content. Okay, now let's see some architecture of the core components. Core component, the main primary element of the core components are first one is the design dialog, then next one is edit dialog, then HTML template, and another one is the Sling model. Now this will provide the HTML output or JSON output based on the configuration. Obviously it will use the content to render it. Now the design dialog defines what authors can or cannot do it in edit dialog. This is more of policy configuration. The next one is edit dialog. Everybody knows, like it shows the authors only the options they are allowed to use. So the authoring dialog. Next one is the Sling model. This verifies and prepares the content for the view. So it will generate the content and that will be rendered by the template. Also the result of the Sling model can be serialized to JSON for SPA use. We already discussed that. It's already SPA ready. So means like every data, the Sling model data can be serialized to a JSON through the exporters. So the client-side rendering frameworks can use that. The HTML renders the HTML server side for traditional server side renderings. Now the HTML output is semantic accessible. We already discussed it is accessible, SEO supported, search engine optimized, this SEO supported, and easy to style. Okay, now if you see, this is the kind of how the components are interacting. So if you see here, there is a controller. It's based on the MVC pattern, design pattern. So if you see here, the controller and view and model, you can see the controller is obviously the resource, the content, my site. Then I have a page within that my site. Then using this content, specific content, if you see here, Sling resource type equal to component title. So it's using the page is using the title component. Now in turn, if you see the right side, there is a configuration. So this is the template configuration or policies. So here we can configure what is the structure, what is the initial content. Then obviously we can set the policies. So like it's a kind of design dialog. We can say like how the author can use this component. So all those details can be configured. Now in turn, if you see the view, this title component is referred by our custom component apps my site components title. So this component is again like the resource super type is v1 title. So already I told like the components are versioned, the core components are versioned. So here we are using v1 title. So v1 title is coming from the core WCM components. It's a core component. Now there is a title.html. So it's having the required HTML template. Now if you see here, there is a model referred here, Adobe CQ WCM core components are models.title. So title is a model, it's referred from here. Yeah, maybe like in the next slide, let's see little more detail. So if you see here, like this is another view of the architecture. So if you see here, like the resource content my site my page, JCR content, the title component is used. The title component resource type is my site components title. Then it's a custom like R proxied component. I will explain what is that proxy. So apps my site components title. So the resource super type of this component is v1 version of the title. The same thing we seen in the previous slide. Now that is the core component. Now If you see here, this title.html is using this model, models.title. So it's not using any version model. So that will, this is a kind of interface. So it's coming to, this is the again core interface, title interface. But the implementation is provided by the specific resource type. If you see core WCM components title v1 title, so that is our that is the core component resource type, core WCM components title v1. So here we are just using models title, the interface, but actual implementation is provided by this specific resource type. So this is kind of a delegate pattern. The responsibility is delegated to this specific implementation. So the same way, what we can do, if you want to extend this model class, and we want to have our own custom implementation, we can have our own model class, and we can just tag to our resource type. Our resource type is maybe like the proxy component, my site components title. So what it will do is, based on the delegate pattern, the corresponding the model class will be get executed. Okay, now let us now see how to enable core components in AEM. So maybe you can follow two approaches. One is like install through package manager. Another one is like include through project. So install through package manager, let me show you from where you can get the package. Yeah, so if you go to this specific GitHub AEM core WCM components, you can see the implementation here. Also it's having like what are all the components available right now. So if you see here, totally now 27 components, core component. In that it is categorized into template components, page authoring components, then container and form components. Now this will have some details on the version. So now the current latest version is 2.80. It will be supported by AEM 6.5, 6.4, 6.3 specific version, and what is the Java version and Maven version required. So now what you can do is you can go to 2.80, click on that. Here you will get the required package. So you can come down here and see core WCM components.all. You can download this and install through your instance. So now another option is like include through project. So if the project is created through latest archetype, the core components will be included as part of the final deployment package. If you create the package with, let's say, like 18, 20, 21, whatever the archetype, the latest archetype, the latest now is 24. Until that, some recent archetypes, the core components will be included by default and will be part of the final deployment package. So now I have created the package, maybe application through, let me show you. Yeah, the archetype 22. So now 22, if I go to my project, okay, if I go into the all, edit.html, if I search with core, yeah, you can see here the packages are getting embedded, core.wcm components content, then the WCM components .config. Also like the example components also get embedded. So same way, if I go to, yeah, you will have something in this parent POM also, I hope, let me, yeah, so it's referred here as a dependency. You can see it here. Then if I go into UI apps, yeah, here also like you can see the components core, it's included here. Yeah, so when you deploy this package, the complete package, the core components will get installed to the instance. So let me go to my instance. If I go here, yeah, if you go to the core, you can see all these components, all the 27 components you can see here. Then some component core component examples are deployed. Also because I created the project sample project, also digital, I created a project, the sample project will have the proxy component. I will explain what is that. Now let's say like you created a project with earlier archetype, and it's not automatically included the core component. Also you don't want to install through the server, the package manager. So then what you can do is like you may need to add some dependencies, like in your parent form you need to add this dependency. I will be sharing that version also, the 2.8.0, what is the version is compatible with your instance, you need to find out. Then this dependency into the parent form, then this dependency to the core form, core form.xml. Yeah, then we need to add this UI apps has to add this dependency, and also we need to include this sub package. All I am saying, all the packages need to be included. So once we add this and deploy your project, your core components will be enabled in the AEM server. So okay, now let's go back here. Okay, now we understood what is core components and how to enable the core components. Now let's see like how to use the core components, and if required how we can like extend the component. Okay. Yeah, so maybe this is kind of a approach I was thinking. So it can be used to extend the component. If you see here like WCM core component, it resides under apps core WCM components. Then proxy components, it's a platform level. So here I am thinking about like maybe multi-tenant solution scenario, multiple projects. So proxy component, it's a mandatory. I am calling it as a platform level. So every core component we need to create a proxy component. Proxy component is kind of why we are creating the proxy component. So WCM core components can't be used directly for authoring. So we need to have a proxy. So means proxy means just create a component that will refer to the corresponding core component, and you group or add that specific component to a group, required group, so that authors can use it for authoring. So that's a very simple step, like you don't want to do any other extension. So just to create a proxy, just referring to that resource type. I will show that now. Now let the authors use the component. Now another scenario is we may need to extend the component. So then you can extend the component, so extended component. So the component should be extended from the proxy, so that if you have any common functionality you want to apply, you can apply here. So every project can extend this, project 2, project 3. Even some cases you can extend, some project 4 can extend from project 3 also. So this is the component extension. Another is model, Sling model. We already we were discussing about that. So Sling model, even you can extend the Sling model, so that you can provide the custom functionalities. So again, Sling model, you can one project can extend from another project, or it can extend from the core model, or based on our use cases we can do it. The extension, like we can do it multiple level. So like our multiple scenarios. One is a design dialog, we can extend, then dialog, then HTL, then models. So either like based on our requirement. Some cases we may need to extend the complete component, so we can't use the same component. So in that case, either you create a custom or just to create a component copy of, or like a proxy, then extend all the cases, all the design dialog, HTL, and models. Yeah, now let's see like let's say like here, if you see here, I proxy components I created under my digital components and content, all these content related component, then form related, then structure. So I'm going to add my component, this proxy components into a group called digital core. So whoever interested, if like whenever authors authoring the component, we may need to set some best practices around that. Whenever authors interested to go with the basic same functionalities, so they can use that. So if some projects interested to extend and they want to have some additional functionality, they can create new set of components extending this and add it into their own project own group, so that those project authors can use the specific components. Okay, now let's see the demo. So let me go back to the instance again. So yeah, the core components are residing there. If I go to, I will go with the title as the reference. So you can do this all the components, because like every component you need to create a proxy, including the page component. So page component mainly, like you keep a page component, proxy page component. You want to customize something, customize in the platform level. Then every project or every site let create the template or template type based on that page component. So that it will help you to if you want to add some platform level functionalities, you can add into that specific component. I will go with the title. You have v1 and v2, so we'll take the v2. Now based on I created a sample project, so it's get deployed digital. Now if you see here, like under components I have content, form, structure, same thing. Content has all the proxy components, it's already created. If I go to button, so nothing is there, only this button is referring to resource super type. So to create a proxy component, just we need to have create a node. The component group should be whatever the component group you want, digital.content or digital.core, whatever your requirement. Then we need to have some title you can add, then resource super type, this is important. So from where this component is inheriting, core WCM component button, v1 button. So same thing, all components are like empty, but it's having it's inheriting from the core component as a, is acting like a proxy. Now if I go to title, I will go to title. Now title also same thing, it's empty. Like I will explain this CQ dialog base. I add a title one, all those things. So title, so component group is, I just change it to digital.core. Then resource super type is v2. So title v2, okay, v2 version. Now I can use these components. So it will provide the same functionality what the core component is providing. So authors can use it. I will show you that. Now next one is like versioning. If you are also interested to have a version, maybe you can create a version specific components based on that your use case. So my case, okay, I'm just going and pointing to the same latest version in the same component. Now if I go to the let me go to the, yeah, let us first go to the template. Okay, templates. Okay, already, okay, there is a default template created, content page. Now let me edit it. Okay, yeah, so here like in the layout container, you go to policies. Yeah, you need to first enable that component. So set, maybe mine is like a digital core. I already enabled digital core, it's having only one component, is already enabled. If you want to do some policies changes and all those things is a design dialog changes, you can do it here. But anyway, I will ignore that, maybe I can have another video on that. So now, yeah, component is enabled. Now what I will do is, like, I will go to the page. Let me add a title component here. Yeah, now now it's displaying the title. So if you want, you can go and do some authoring changes. So whatever you want, you can add your custom title, or it will take the page title. Okay, now let's talk about the extension. So as a first of, like, I want to extend or add some additional field to the dialog. So what I will do is, like, I am extending the CQ dialog. I just copied the CQ dialog from the title component. Maybe I will go and I will show you here. I just copied the CQ dialog from the v2 version. Now deleted whatever is not required. So I just went and deleted. So only I added another, in the items I added another new property, extended property, something called extended property, that are like just for demo. So text field. Now if I go here and go to the design dialog, I can see this extended property. So it's a proxy component and added additional dialog property. So same way, if another project, or you want to create another component inheriting from this proxy, so you can create the component and you can extend accordingly. So the next thing is like, maybe I want to extend, or I want to override the HTML file. So I want to have my own implementation. So then what you can do is like create a title.html file under the same thing. So I will rename this to title. Yeah, now if I go here, yeah, I copied the file from there, but I just added a extended text here. So it means it's coming from the extended, just so it's anyway normal scenario. There's nothing specific. Yeah, now it's saying it's coming from the extended. Now another scenario is same thing you can do it for design dialog also, so that you can have ISO the policy, editing the policy. If you want to have some additional fields there, you can extend the design dialog. So other one is like extending the model. So I want to add little different backend logic. So the model functionality I need to change it. So you can extend the model also. So let's see how to do that. Now I'm going to add a new model class. So this is my new model class. So model adaptables, Sling HTTP servlet request, then adapters title dot class. This is important, title dot class. This title dot class is the interface. This is the interface. So now I'm creating my custom model, extended title model, but that before that, the resource type, this is important, because I already explained based on the delegate pattern. The interface, or the implementation will be selected based on the resource type, which resource type is referring this model. So but if I go to, let's say, if I go back here, so in this title.html, I will leave this as title.html. See, if I am still referring the models dot title, the interface, I am not referring the corresponding implementation, but based on the resource type, the delegate pattern selects the correct implementation. So if I go back here, yes, resource type, this is my component resource type. If I go to the title, yeah, digital components, content title. So content title. Now this class implements title. Now whatever the variables you want, you can take. It's a private page, current page. Then I am even getting the title also from the super type. So that I can use that title also, the parent title model also I can use it. Now this is one of the method. It will give the text back. So what you can do is, you can go to this specific. Yeah, so here if you see like the title definition, interface definition, you can see here. If we go here, yeah, the AEM core WCM components, go under the core, you can go into this class, specific class title. Here you can see what kind of methods it's have, like get text, then like that get type, then get link URL, and is link disabled. There is some of the methods you can override those methods. Right now I am going to override only get text. So just I am appending extended. Then I am getting the title from the actual title class. So here what you can do is, instead of getting the title dot get text, you can get it from current page also. You want to get something like current page dot get title, or something else, you can do that. So anything you can do, any logic you want to build around this, you can do it. Also add the core dependency into the core module. If you see here like digital.core pom.xml, I added this specific dependency for the core module. com.adobe.cq core WCM components core module. So we are going to use the models. So the models are part of the core models are part of this core bundle. So if I go here, I'm using this title. The title is from the core bundle, so we need to add that dependent. Okay, another one I missed to inform is the version of the core components. So if I go to this digital the parent form.xml. If you open that, there is something called core WCM components version. So right now it is 2.0. Actually latest one is 2.80. So based on your environment support, you can change this version. Anyhow, right now I am leaving it to 2.7.0. But ensure like whenever there is a new version getting released, so maybe you can change this version. Maybe you need to do some kind of regression testing. Also, if any new version of the component is introduced as part of the new release, example like title component now has two versions, v1 v2. If the v3 is introduced, so our proxy component also should be changed. So our super type, the resource super type is pointing to the right now it's to v2 version of the component. Maybe like later we should be changing to v3 whenever the v3 is introduced. Now let me go and deploy this code. Okay, the deployment is completed now. Let me go back, maybe let me refresh the page. Yeah, now if you see like the extended is appended, so it means the model class, the corresponding model class implementation is selected. So like this you can do it for all the components. So even design dialog you can extend. So yeah, that's it. Also like another one is like there is a website called aemcomponents.dev. This have all the definitions or like details on the component. You can refer this. Let me share some of this detail in description. Thanks all for watching the video. See you in the next video.